What was your biggest shit, no going back now moment? I hopped a freight train once, and the moment it hits 15 to 20 miles per hour, you're just along for the ride. But the real no going back moment came when the train stopped on a siding outside Winnemucca. After waiting there for like 5 hours, I decided to walk into town and get some ice cream sandwiches. As soon as I got 50 yards from the train, I realized, if it starts rolling now, I'll be too far away to chase it down. I'll just be stuck in this town for a while. Canoeing over a waterfall. When I was younger, letting my older cousin talk me into a canoe ride down a flooded river. We'd planned it days in advance, but there was a lot of heavy rain in the area and the normally calm river was near flood level and quite rough. I really didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to let him down either, so I still went. I knew as soon as we saw the river this was a terrible idea. The whole thing was a poop show, and I honestly thought we were going to die. We had no control, and at one point we got stuck nose down in a large rock. Knowing if we tipped out we were drowning, we somehow made it out into the shore, where we walked back with the canoe. Getting in the ambulance after suffering a grand mal seizure from alcohol withdrawals. When I finally said enough is enough and decided I needed to quit drinking before it killed me, I thought I could detox on my own, as I was terrified of hospitals. I was wrong. I spent a week detoxing in the ICU. And now, almost a full year later, I'm still very happily sober and I'm completely thriving. Mountain biking with some friends on a new trail, which wasn't even a bike trail. We hiked most of the way up since it was too steep to ride up. Carried our bikes all the way up, rested at the top for a bit, and then rolled over the edge. I remember as my front tire crested and gravity started taking over, I thought, there's no way I'm stopping now, unless a tree stops me. Parachute jump. My life is now no longer in my hands. Oh well, Geronimo. Every time I solo traveled and arrived in a new country, I made a budget yesterday to figure out how much I'd need to move out. If I worked 2 more hours than planned at a starter job I've lined up, I could do it easily, with all the optional expenses. That's when it hit me that I'm not in college anymore and I actually could have the money to live independently. Walking into a MMA fight and the cage closes behind you. When I was about to get on the plane to my first semester of med school, my dad, never one for sentiment, said, "Well, you're now actually worth more dead than alive. Don't screw this up. Here, try this hot wing." Took a bite, and for the next 18 hours, I could only focus on how this was a crime against humanity. And for those now asking, it was the last dab XXX on a drumstick. It was coated all over. I just ate one big bite, and then I went and shoved my head under a cold shower. Then, it was bed and bathroom for several hours as I threw up most of it. But some got digested. I knew going it that it was gonna be hot. My former roommate was a hot sauce aficionado. He never once handed me a wing that was less than a habanero sauce. The question was, am I about to have Ghost, Pepper X, Carolina Reaper, habanero, etc. psychedelics, particularly DMT, because it all happened so quickly and intensely. Me taking pictures of the North Korean military. If I was caught, I would be in a prison camp now. Crossing the Rubicon. During takeoff on my first ever flight at the age of 30. I have a real intense fear of heights. Had this moment just now. Just handed in my bachelor thesis. A bit dark, but when I took a bunch of pills in a suicide attempt. It was around 10 p.m. on a Tuesday night and I had just gotten into an argument with my mom. I laid down in my bed and thought about my life. Considered asking my mom to take me to the hospital, but decided against it. I thought, welp, this is it. I'm dying. Then I fell asleep. I took more than the lethal dose of Seroquel XR but somehow woke up in the morning. Slow, but perfectly fine. I consider it a glitch in the Matrix, but one I am grateful for. This was in August 2019, and I'm doing a lot better now. Still struggling, but not suicidal.